What happened to you? Like, you're
Channel into
experiencing different
I just
reality.
flew up there and look at this whole set.
Whoa. Just what? What's it called? Out of body. The out of body.
Doctor Strange. It's just Doctor Strange.
Yes, of course. So that didn't peak. That's great.
Got peak. The peak and rule. Now just sprouting random thing that I read before.
Word association. Let's go.
So the start doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was thinking about it also. Like, so do we care about the start? Do we care about the end? Do we care about the middle?
Okay.
The peak we cannot really control because that is go with the flow. The end is outro, what we ended on. But intro is just packaging or marketing. So it's like two different aspects. Like the product, then there's the marketing aspect, which is the front side. Yeah. We can improve on all ends, maybe. Maybe not. It's not one either or. Like a good, I don't know. A good like framework is it's not either or. It's both end. You can. There's not always binary, right? One good option, or two. I mean, two options. Not black or white. Everything is mostly gray area. Not black or white. Not Michael Jackson.
Today I'm wearing something different.
The first time you're going.
So I'm going to start this podcast with a little bit of a different style. I'm going to ask you this question. Okay. What would you suggest people that don't know how to start learning to do? Yeah, how do they start?
How do you start? Don't know how to start learning.
There are people that are lost.
I have a funny answer, I have a serious answer.
Let's start with the funny answer.
Okay. Continue watching the podcast. That's the first step in a sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what is actionables for someone that want to pick up learning because they know the importance of learning already? Like we have heard that to do anything in life, every successful guy, they just get obsessed about learning. So what's the actionable?
Okay, if you really want to get into learning, it is first of all starting with why. Why even want to learn? You need that desire, right? Navarro Afghan has the quote, it is not the means of learning are abundant. The desire to learn is scarce. So there are many ways to learn now. We talked about it before. But whether you actually want to learn, you want to go out of your way to put your time, energy, attention into learning. Most people don't even want to learn.
Okay. Start the reason.
Just like mindset. Wanting to learn. A student's mindset.
Mindset to learn. So, in order to find out what's the reason, people need to know themselves first.
Yes.
Right.
Cultivate awareness.
Yeah. You be aware of what makes you tick, what motivates you the most. Because if someone that is like a bit more towards the nomad kind of lifestyle, free and easy, the reason to learn might be very different from someone that wants to build a business empire, wants to become the richest man on earth, wants to have Lamborghinis, Bugattis,
Bugattis.
Yeah, those people have a different way to adjusting their mindsets to make learning sustainable. Yeah. So if after they find out their why, usually they have already taken a huge leap forward. What is the next step?
Okay, I don't think it's specifically steps because you can really start at any point.
Okay.
The context that you use, starting like the why, that will be more goal setting, right? So everyone has different goals. So and everyone is at different stages of the progress to their goals.
Okay.
But at every point you need to learn. So it is why for me, the starting with why is why even learn.
Okay. So to figure out, to get
Self-awareness on that front is more figuring out how much you even learn now. How aware of are you aware of how much you learn now?
So to learn effectively, first you need to have a goal. Then you can learn. So
Learn according to the goal. So it's intentional, not
for instance, in my life, I'm trying to build a YouTube channel, and that requires me to learn persuasion, learn script writing, storytelling. So I'll have a reason to, and the reason why I have that goal is the why. Okay. All right.
Question for the audience and for you as well. How many of you have stopped learning? So how many of your parents have stopped learning? Where you sort of just go out of the education system and you're just stagnating, not reading anything, not practicing any sort of skill. You're just going through life stagnant.
You learn how to not learn, basically.
Learn helplessness. Actually just learn.
Yes, we are still learning at any stage of life, but we are learning by putting ourselves in an environment that affects us, that influences us. So most people find ways to stunt their growth in terms of like learning new things.
I think that's why once people go out of school, so once you change the environment and you are not incentivized to even learn, go out of your way to learn yourself, and you're not taught how to learn yourself because schools don't teach you that.
And when you are like doing things without intention, without goals, you're still learning something. Like if you are binge watching animes, if you are just scrolling shorts all the time, taking out a lot of your time, you're learning something here and there.
Are you learning the right thing?
Yeah, is the learned information useful for anything? And some might argue that you don't need it to be useful, but I guess that will differentiate who you become, the trajectory of your life.
It is about how aligned it is to your goals and how fast you want to achieve your goals. Because if you have the timeline, you have more time, then I guess you can waste more of it.
Okay.
Doing things that are not learning.
So usually, that leads to my next question. Usually, if somebody start to figure out their path, they have more clarity. Because as we all know, like the more clear you are on your direction, on what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, what are your goals, you start to find out all these things about yourself. You tend to have an easier way to take the next step. Because like 1% every day Kaizen is about taking the next step. It's about 1% improvement. So to figure out what's the next step, you need the clarity. So once people start to figure out the clarity, how long usually the time frame does it take for someone to pick up learning? And is it contextual based on what they are learning, or does it based on how complex the task they're trying to achieve? Like, what are the factors that play into the time frame?
Play into the time frame
of like picking up learning.
Picking up learning.
So the before is that someone that just mindless.
Okay, so I think learning starts with the mindset. So to even want to learn, that one I think we'll be covering a lot in this episode. But the time frame for everything is context dependent.
Okay.
So if you have a big goal, then you would obviously need more learning and you need to put in more effort, time. So the timeline will be dependent on your goals.
Dependent on your goals.
But okay. People just let's go in on the mindset.
Okay.
So what's the opposite of a like learner's mindset, a student's mindset? I'll ask you.
Opposite of learner is teacher. If you're not learning, you are teaching.
I don't think that's the opposite though. Okay, the opposite of learning is not learning, I guess. Or the opposite of growth is
decline.
Decline.
Yeah. That's the opposite.
So,
Mm.
I mean, Einstein has this quote: "Once you stop learning, you start dying."
Mm.
And then Hormozi has what? Grow or die. Just basically, there's no such thing as maintaining.
Yep.
Because you're living life, but yeah, you are. There's no such thing as maintenance. You're either growing or you're
Yeah, going down. It makes sense because like if you think about it, if you are not equipping yourself with more knowledge, with more tools, with more skills, and you are growing every single day, like you're taking up time, space, resources every single day, and you're not increasing your value. So yeah, technically you are just going down in terms of value because you are consuming more than you are providing.
I mean, you can call it living life, or you can call it, because every day that you live, you're one day closer to dying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can reframe it as you're dying every day, one day closer towards death.
Yeah. So if you're not growing, you're just wasting time, which is a resource, which is like we established in the last week's episode. If you are wasting time, which we need time to build growth, to build progress, to basically inch forward. So if you're wasting time, which is the biggest resource, the only
It's a finite resource that you have.
yeah, it's the only finite resource. Actually, most resources are finite.
I mean,
Because it comes back to time and effort. Because you need time to regenerate, to recover, in order to have to be able to input more effort and attention. Yeah. So time is very important. So
No,
if you are losing time and you are not growing, means you're falling behind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how long do you spend learning a day?
How long do I spend learning a day?
Talk about time.
For me, learning splits into different parts. So I'm a person that my ego says that I'm a person that do not like to get too organized with my learning or anything in life, my goals, everything. Like in different seasons, I'll pay attention to different things. It's a bit more split out. And in order for somebody to achieve something according to the internet, you're supposed to get super organized and plan out how long you take to learn this or whatever. But personally, for me, so far, what has been working is organizing my goals, and it's the concept of just in time and just in case. I don't learn just in case. Current stage of my life, if I need to read a book, is when I need to figure out something. I need a solution. So it's about having the goals, then along the way, I identify what's a constraint, what's a problem, then I'll seek the solution. So some days when I am more sedentary or when I'm forced to stay indoors, I'll just learn more. I'll just read more books in that sense. I'll consume more podcasts, take more notes. On some days, I'll execute more. I'll teach people more. I'll explain more concepts. I will create more content. I'll write scripts, so on and so forth. So in terms, there's no way to quantify how many hours. So some days will be more, some days will be less. But in general sense, it's a lot more than my previous self. It's a lot more than me last year, and it's a lot more than the me 3 years ago, where I just play games and watch Netflix all the time. So I can't answer you directly, but I guess that is my way of learning now.
That's a pretty good answer, I would
Thank
say.
you.
But I want to introduce this concept that is perpetual learning.
Perpetual learning. What is perpetual learning? Like actually what is it?
So perpetual, just the definition of the word, if I try to define it in my own words, I guess will be never ending, non-stop, just continually going on.
Okay.
So perpetual learning. Every moment that you live is an opportunity for you to learn.
Okay.
So you can learn from every single moment.
Okay.
Some days, like you said, if you don't have as much time to read, you can, and you're forced to sort of just sit in silence. That could be just you, having to learn how to sit with not reading, I guess, or not making progress in your life.
Or
Learning
you
patience.
can figure out how do you procure more time to learn for yourself by adding structure, by talking to people to find out how do you get more freedom, so on and so forth. Those could be learning opportunities.
So yeah, you have the freedom to even come up with, sort of see the potential and go towards learning opportunities. Sometimes they are the small incremental ones. Some of them are larger ones. Reading,
Right.
I think that's why leverage. So there are higher leverage options of learning. Many mediums to learn.
I guess it's cool to see learning in this way, because sometimes we think that learning is just reading textbooks, writing down notes, then try to recall them. But I don't think learning is just that simple. Sometimes learning can just be like what you say, like continuous, and every instance have a learning point. And that learning point sometimes just requires you to learn how to reframe things. Like learn how to look at the current situation by stepping a bit further behind, by zooming out a bit, look at what you are doing, what is happening with your life. Then from there, figure out the clarity, like what's the next step, which is clarity. Sometimes that process is a skill itself, and that requires learning, and learning requires you to put in the reps. And yeah, just by simply doing that, you're getting better at the action of figuring out your life as you're going.
Yeah. The whole process of life is to figure it out. You never figure it out. There's no ending to life or completion until you die, which is by then you will not have to care about figuring out your life because end. But yeah. So life is all about learning. But if you stop learning, if you have this, so the opposite of a student's mindset is actually a fixed mindset. So you are not growing anymore. You're just, you close yourself off. You're no longer open-minded, close-minded.
I've met a lot of close-minded people in my life. Whenever you tell them about your goals, tell them about the new thing that you are trying, they will come out with, life will catch up to you. Next time, you won't have time. You need money. I don't have money. They start to saying all this stuff.
They start to use their story onto you.
Yeah, they start to use their symptoms as their problems, as their like you know, like how when you get like the reason why they don't have money, that is the issue. But they use having no money as the issue itself. The reason why they don't have the resources they need is because they didn't try, or they lack clarity, lack motivation, never work on their mental health, they have bad physical health, all this. These are the actual issues that they skipped out on.
It's the concept I learned from Hormozi, where the cost of ignorance, so the cost of not knowing how to make $1 million is $1 million, right? So by educating, learning, inputting knowledge, like changing your information, as I talked about before, you can gain that knowledge of how to make $1 million. Because if people have done it before, they are humans, you're human, so why can't you do it? Maybe they have information, or there's always the student's mindset, there's always something to learn from someone else.
And one thing we are not trying to discount is that we all have different starting points. We are all born with different skill sets, different family backgrounds. Some of us are just at a lower starting point, means our difficulty is hardcore mode or hard mode instead of easy or peaceful mode. But that is the thing that actually makes this whole life thing, this game of life, interesting. Because like life itself is made of different infinite games. And when you talk about games, some people play, like when you talk about infinite games, you play for the sake of playing. You don't actually play for completion, like you said, for a goal to be achieved. So like the difference between a kid that is playing, enjoying the game itself, an infinite game, versus an adult that try to clear, like they have all this societal pressure to finish the game as fast as possible. one is enjoying themselves throughout the journey and slowly improving, challenging themselves. They enjoy the whole process. That's what makes it fulfilling for them. Another one, on the other hand, filled with all the people telling them, oh, you need to do this at this age, you need to work hard. They realize they're not enjoying the process. They treat it as, oh, I have to finish this, then it's done. That's the difference. And it ties back to the whole thing. Like, how do you find this whole entire process? Okay, I think I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Yeah, but in the general sense, when it goes back to what we talked about just now, is like you want to have a continuous way, let it be an infinite game, and enjoy the process. And also one golden rule that, since I think in my primary school, I've listened to this somewhere and I adopted it as my like golden rule, is that no matter how bad the situation is or how badly you fail, how badly you feel, like how big the L that you're taking right now, there's always a learning opportunity.
Mhm.
There's always something good out of it. Use the mindset that this thing that is bad in my life, that's negative, on the outside, by the looks of it, is bad. But use that to use a mindset that this thing is to help me grow. Use the bad thing instead of
letting it use you.
letting it use you. Yeah. Don't be like, oh, let's just give an example. Like, let's say we mess up this whole recording. We forget to record, or the file got corrupted or something. Don't be like this is a fail, this is a L thing. Think like, how do I make this a learning opportunity? What should I do? What systems? What is a constraint, bottleneck in my life? Like, why did we fuck up?
So,
did we not check?
What have you learned from this?
Yeah.
That's a good question to ask with any experience.
Yeah.
What did I learn from this?
And how do we ensure this thing don't happen again? And there is a problem. And once you find the solution, the process of finding that solution is a skill. And you learn that skill through this entire process. So in every opportunity, every L you take, even like a loss of your love, like if you lose your loved one right now, use it as a learning opportunity. Use it to remind yourself that life, like, is short.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you sort of analyze it. Sometimes if you lose a loved one, it's just allow the emotion to pass. And then once from that state, then
Isn't that learning how
mourning.
to process your your emotion?
Yeah, after you mourn already, then it is because there's a right time for learning also, like structured learning, or sort of like trying to pen down. There's a process. There's like the stages of grief, right?
To me, all stages of grief is a form of learning. Some is learning how to improve your emotional intelligence, how fast you process, how you avoid avoiding your emotions.
Avoid it.
That is one skill by itself. You're encouraging character growth, courage.
The learning process. It's a process, not a destination.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to make it sound like learning is something more like philosophical than it is, but it's not just on, like, most people think textbook learning. Like most of us, because of the education system, we have one way of viewing how we should learn, what is learning. Yeah.
Life as a whole, it is an infinite game if you were to zoom out. So marriage, business, relationships, marriage, business, and health, fitness, those are infinite games in the sense that you can choose to play them. But life, I don't know, you want to say if your parents chose to put you into this world, but that is an infinite game you're playing, because the point of the game is to stay in the game. And there are set rules like time and everything. So if you go one level behind, that's the macro view of life, because life will keep on going.
Yeah. And if you're born in like a shit situation, like just now I talked about, like, it's a harder difficulty to play on, but learn how to enjoy it. Use it as opportunity of growth. Maybe use the motivation that you get from not wanting your future generation to have the same playing cards that you are dealt with. Use that as a way of, like, an objective of life. Like, it's quite fun.
Using your pain to serve your growth or others even.
Using
that
your pain.
The difference between the past is that the past is fixed, the future is uncertain. It can be better.
Can be better,
So
yeah.
if you why we can even have why do we even have our memories? Why can we look back on the past so that we can learn from them, right?
Yeah,
So
there's
that
a reason why, like biology, energy conservation, like basically law of universe, like we are all existing and we have all these features like memory and stuff for a reason. It's
so we cannot
adaptation.
repeat the past. There's a reason. That's all the benefits of studying history, studying the more tragic events of the past, or even Michael Jackson, study the greats and become greater.
Even like fictional stories, they are synthesized information built into a fiction to help you learn something.
There always is inspiration for all fiction. So inspiration from real life also.
Yeah.
So like life lessons.
So I think when we talk about learning as a game, life as a game, and whether it's finite or infinite, and how we change the definition, how we change how we look at it, how we perceive the game itself, this leads me to, I think, a big question people will want to know is, what is your definition of success? Because a lot of people have material success as their main definition. I want huge cars, big houses, retire my family, money, material success. What is your definition of success?
Definition of success.
Because success basically is learning leads to success. So what does success mean to you? What is your why?
What is my why? I suppose it is all in relation to my goals. So my goals are to even
So what is success to you? What are you working towards?
What's success to me? So do you want to see my like future outlook, or how like success in the future sense?
How do you define success?
How do I define success? Every moment that I am progressing in life, I don't know if you can you define success? I don't think I can define success.
I think everyone got their own definition of
because success will be, I guess, on my deathbed when I am looking back and able to say that, or if I were to die at any moment, be able to say that, okay, I did all I could while I was alive with my life that I have, that finite life.
Okay. And that is why we are co-hosts of this podcast, because I wrote down mine.
Oh.
For me, success is the feeling of fulfillment. So it's like when I project myself to my funeral in the future, the image, the emotions, the impact that I left behind for the people that I love, for the world. Like, I want to see my kids, what they say about me, how they view me, what they have learned from me. Those are like your legacy, your fruits that you bear, that you spend your lifetime upgrading a character for people to get inspired by. All these things, small little things. It's by living moment to moment. Like that's how you achieve it, but that is my definition of success. Like the projection, how fulfilled I feel. Like I have this fulfilling, as in like life is filled fully. Yeah. That's my definition of success. So I guess that you touch on that.
Yeah.
Your deathbed.
So, life is is chaotic in nature. It just goes on. Anything could happen. That's why I said I could die at any point, contemplating your mortality.
And do you really want to, like, if you are spend your whole life working towards your definition of success that's simply by material, simply by you need this amount of money, then if you really think about it, you won't feel fulfilled. Like, at your deathbed, you'll be like, oh, I got all this. You're not taking any of it with you.
The concept is human being. We're not human doing or human having. So attaching, I guess, success in any form of metric towards what you have, your possessions, or your money, stuff like that. That removes the being part of you. That is the part that actually, the life experience.
Yeah.
Or human having, human doing. Yeah, I think even like putting the emphasis on your actions. The legacy also can be putting.
Legacy is just a byproduct. That's what I mean. It's more about, have you tried your best? Have you made this life interesting? And have you done the thing that you want to do? Because for me, the part on legacy is just how I view, like, more of like my objective to determine how much can I do, how much impact can I leave behind. That's all. It's just maximizing the experiences, but
leave behind how much you can leave behind with the amount of time that you had spent on the earth.
Mm-hmm. Then
making the most of life.
Yeah. So like different people have different like opinions on what do they want. But the most important thing that I realize is a lot of people just don't think about what they want. So your definition of success really matters when you look inwards, your core desires. Yeah. So my core desires is like relationship, connection. To some extent, we need money to facilitate a lot of the things that we want. So money is a non-negotiable, but don't be centered by money.
Don't make it your master. Use it as a tool.
Yep. And I guess the reason why we both talk about deathbed is also on the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where they ask you to visualize your funeral. And one part is talking about how you can center yourself to your character, your principles. And that will be what people care about. Like, let's say imagine this at your funeral, your wife say, like, Josiah is XXX amount of, okay, that sounds bad, blank guy. They talk about like she don't say like, oh, Josiah made a lot of money. No one will say that, because that's not how people want to be remembered.
People don't remember how people remember how you made them feel.
And that is shown through a character. You can fake your way, but people know that you're inauthentic. Like we talked about last episode, so like people can feel any degree of inauthenticity unless you spend enough effort, which is not possible to cover that.
Sooner or later, light will shine. And
so only by improving your character, like if you're a courageous guy, people know, oh, he's fearless. Although like courage doesn't mean the absence of fear, but people know that you are a certain character, and your character is what you'll be remembered as. So the highest ROI in this lifetime is center yourself to your character. And work on your character.
And it is not even about how you're remembered as, because memory right now, everything's in our head. So people remember how you made them feel. But if you only focus on the future where it is on your deathbed, so you're dead already, that's like too far in the future. So it's keeping that future, I guess, mindset and envisioning it, having that at least thought through, so you know like, what you want to die, be known for when you die, known as die.
It just helps you to. It's just like trying to make moving waters still to figure out what you need to do in the present moment, like the visualization of the future. I'm not asking you to write down, then every day read what you want to like visualize a funeral in that sense. Just do it once to figure out like, what do you want to be known as? What kind of person do you want to be known as? You don't want to be a person known as, oh, this guy, let's say like your son, my father died today and he got 12 cars. Like that just doesn't make sense. No one will say that. So visualize your future once or twice. Do it whenever you need to remind yourself what is important to you. And that will be your definition of success.
And the next step from there, I guess that's what I wanted to say just now, is that you can have that in the now. So you've thought about the future already. So what you want to be remembered as or for, then you can now apply it to the present now. So how do you want to be you want to work towards it, right? So that's the end destination, the end vision.
Yep.
But it's keeping that vision in mind and acting so that you can even change and move closer towards that.
Right.
So how do you want to be known as now? When people say, hear your name, what do you want to be known? What words do you want associated with them? That's your personal brand in a sense. So the feelings, the thoughts associated with just you as a person in the minds of other people.
I have a way, like I did that when I visualized I want to be known as certain kind of guy. What I did next is I followed the instruction in the 7 Habits book, and I wrote down a version of like a mission statement or a creed. So I write down what values, what do I value? Who, like, do I value, like personally I value like integrity, like doing things when people are not looking or when you are not perceived by someone else. You still do the right thing that's defined by you, like principles. I value courage, like going into things that I know is right to do, even though there's fear, like putting myself out here. These are, I'm just fucking terrified. Like, like, pardon my French, but like, legit, it's not easy to think that you definitely will be criticized by people on the internet and be viewed in a negative light. No matter what you do, there'll be haters, and still do it nonetheless. So like, courage is important to me, and that is what success is to me. Just moment to moment doing things that I think that I know I want to do, and still do it even though there's resistance, even though there's fear. Yeah.
So I feel that we've gone a bit deeper into life philosophy sort of thing, but I want to take a step back and go back to the path that is learning. So learning, I want to introduce the idea also, perpetual learning. We want to be perpetual learners, but learning itself is a skill. So beyond the, I guess, identity that if you want to, it's a good identity to have. I am a lifelong student, that sort of thing. But if you want to have a skill, what does that identity embody?
Okay.
So learning as a skill. How do you learn how to learn?
How to learn how to learn.
Learn how to learn.
Learn how to learn.
Yeah. How do you learn how to learn?
There's a great book by Jim Kwik called Limitless. The book, a lot of the book talk about how do you learn how to learn. It goes into more of a practical sense of like how you can improve your state, your emotions, different strategies, techniques that you can use to memorize more, because memory is a feature of the human mind to facilitate learning. So how you can improve your memory, so on and so forth. How you can use visualization, how do you speed read to get more information and read more efficiently, things like this. But do you think those are the true essence of learning how to learn?
True essence.
Or is there no true essence? It's just about individuality.
I guess that goes more into strategies. But strategies are encompassed by the overall sort of skill that you have. Because skill is not context dependent. So you can apply it to really anything. There should be carryover if it's especially high leverage skills.
It's
not
like tools,
independent, not very tools.
It's like having a tool, a multi-tool, that's high leverage. Or like for certain tasks, a multi-tool won't be able to use it that well. So like, what is a task is your goal. Then now learning the skills, what kind of skills do you need?
What is the high leverage skill even?
Okay.
So meta skills, the concept also.
What's a meta skill?
So, if you want the basics, they are reading and writing.
Reading and writing.
Those
Input,
are,
output.
In my opinion at least, I am not really sure about other fields, everything.
Okay.
For life in general, because we have to communicate, we have to communicate in general. So
it's the highest leverage skill. Reading and writing, which is true. Because a lot of people learn just by conversing with other people, learn by doing, learn by figuring out in conversations people that are better than you in one aspect or the other. So they learn by that. Reading allows you to bypass the constraint of like time, location, having access to people.
Yeah, because we are, lucky or not, we are not monkeys. We do not, like, monkey see, monkey do. That is, to an extent, works, but we have vocal cords and we have complex minds, unlike the monkeys. And we can speak and think. That's why if you want to learn any skill, how do you even learn something, read, write, listen, speak, right? We can communicate in that sense. So communication skills, actually, I guess, not just reading or writing, but communication skills as a whole. Those are really, because every day you just communicate no matter what. Everything you're doing is either consuming or creating, interacting with someone else or interacting with your own mind, that sort of thing. Reading, writing, listening, speaking. Those are the most meta skills you can learn. It will bleed out across your entire day, entire life. Yeah.
So learning how to learn is to focus on these things. Okay. And sorry, I just want to like make an apology for the slander for all the monkeys out there that's watching this podcast. Like, he didn't mean that you are stupid. He just mean that, I don't know what he mean. I don't associate with monkey haters. Alright. Okay, so the strategy that I just thought of about how to learn. First I want to hear about your strategy. How do you learn? Like, do you focus on meta skill? Because we all don't really just want to read and write all the time and lack like all the conversing, human interaction. You want to learn to be a well-rounded, in your own definition. What is a well-rounded guy? Do you need to? Some people don't care about the social aspect, but most people care. So like, what is your strategy to learn how to learn?
Strategy. I don't really like sort of strategies. Because, context.
One thing about strategy is that first we need more information to have a strategy. You need to have
all context is king.
Yes. It's like, let's say you're trying to build a house, you're trying to do some woodworking, or you're trying to build a window. You have all these tools. You need the tools first in order to do anything. So you need to procure the new tool, buy a new tool, get land from someone else, borrow it, make your own tool or something. Those is basically learning the different ways you can learn. Like learn the skill of reading, learn the skill of writing, learn the skill of communication, learn the skill of socializing. Like
if you want Naval's like top five skills to learn.
Let me finish first. So before you strategize, you need to have all these tools. Then next you need to analyze what is the objective. So now I need to hammer a nail. Do I take out my screwdriver to hammer that nail? So you strategize based on the task and what tools you have. Then use the best tool to attack the task. So
it's either of life skills. They are life skills in general.
So learn what tools are out there for you first.
The basics, have your basic toolkit yourself and everything figured out.
Figure out the house that you're trying to build. What aspect do they have? That is the first part that we talked about at the start of the podcast.
There's a quote, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So having the right tools yourself, equipping yourself well.
Yeah.
Naval's 5 skills he says that are the most important are reading, writing, arithmetic, or basic math, because you need basics.
Logic.
Yeah. Then persuasion, talking.
Persuasion and talking. Okay. Yeah. Especially, I think talking is something that a lot of people just skip on. They just do the basic. And the basic is such a low bar. Some people they just mumble their words and expect you to hear. And just think about the amount of experiences that you'll miss out on because the amount of conversations that you will miss because people can't even hear what you're saying. Talking itself, the communication skills is quite an important skill. to have throughout your life, because you will be interacting with people no matter how introverted you are. And if you are not a good communicator, and a good communicator is not like you're a public speaker or whatever, just able to carry your message forward, your emotions forward,
In a
tell the
day-to-day
stories.
basis.
Yeah. So it's about effective. So some people can't do that, and it's important to focus on these 5 things in a holistic manner.
I think it's beyond just some people cannot do it. It's more that there is always more to learn. There is always more to improve. Even if you think that's why having this like sort of fixed mindset, having I guess the pride or the ego attached to where I think I am a good enough writer, good enough speaker. So there is this level thinking that I finished learning, I finished mastering speaking in this aspect. But your life will go on and you'll continue speaking.
So this thing that you just said can sum it up with one word: ignorance. Thinking that you have all of it figured out when there's so much that is out there for you to figure out.
Blind ignorance.
So ignorance is the opposite of learning then. Because when you're ignorant, you stop learning. Because imagine people that just fixed mindset, they don't grow, they don't surround themselves with people that want to grow, they don't watch content like this that helps them to be more aware of what kind of things they need to work on to figure out their own life. Those are the people that's ignorant. Because there is such information, there is more people that's pumping out all this content, that's making it easier for you to learn, to develop skills, but they don't think they need it. Isn't that like just like the biggest waste?
Yeah.
Just by being ignorant.
But I suppose it is a lot of it just taught by systems, school systems, that you're incentivized because you have to be incentivized to learn. So they incentivize you with rewards, exams that sort of end. So there is an end in that finite, but they don't equip you for the infinite.
I see. They give you enough for you to be content with progression, with the final objective. But I think you have to really take a look at what is really the final objective for you.
Yeah. Life will keep going. Whether you keep learning, life will always, like as Moore's law, there's this idea that technology now is just rapidly evolving. And it's exponential. So now the rapid advancements are getting even more rapid, basically. And if we as humans are not able to keep up, then technology will cause mass destruction, everything like that, through AI, weapons, whatever.
That's why I think that all this AI talk, they're not the main key. It's all start with the individual level. People that haven't learned, they lack the skills, they lack the ability, the skill. They haven't learned how to think about stuff. So they're just letting, as a result, they don't have a strategy. And if they don't have a strategy, they have no actions and they are anxious. And when they're anxious, they start thinking, oh, AI is here to ruin the world, whatever. But it doesn't, that's not the highest leverage thing you can do.
Is that to ruin the world if you don't
just build your character, be okay with, if it's really, there'll be killer robots out there, then what can you do now?
You have to learn how to deal with it.
You just have to deal with it. I think we talk about this, what will we do if we wake up in the future society or whatever, one of the episodes. It's basically what you say. Just know what kind of person you are and what tools do you have to figure this whole thing out. Yeah. So we talk about reading as one of the meta skills. Why do we want to read, particularly books?
I like this quote. It feels like I'm saying that a lot because I guess I read and I find quotes.
It's okay. He's the quote guy. All right. What's the quote?
The man who does not read has no advantage over a man who cannot read. So the world, as I mentioned earlier, has rapidly evolved.
Yep.
And now literacy rates are going through the roof, right? Or okay, not through the roof, but yes.
Okay.
People are now able to speak at least basic English, or most of us can read,
Yeah,
like it or not.
except for the monkeys. Yeah.
We are mostly intelligent as
Yeah.
humans. We need to talk about our target audience. But yeah, so reading, if you want an advantage, you should be reading. If you're not reading, why do you even have the skill of like reading? I use this quote to shame people in the past into try to get them into reading, but yeah, that was not really.
Did it work?
I don't think it worked.
Okay.
Not sure.
So the incentives is that it gives them an advantage. If not, it's as bad as somebody that don't read, or like basically a monkey that is a human. Like
you're not even using the tools that you're given, your ability to read. And I guess it is success in terms of life. 90% of success can be boiled down to consistently doing the obvious thing for an uncommonly long period of time without convincing yourself that you're smarter than you are.
Okay.
So why some people don't read books? They may be able to read, but they don't see the utility because they think they already have enough information. You're convincing yourself that you're smarter than you are.
All I can link back to is just now when we talk about strategy and ignorance. When you think that you have all the answers, that's when you lose the advantage. And also, the reason why you read is also develop different perspective, different frames, different way of looking at life, so that you can adopt the best one. Then you can strategize your learning. So reading helps with it. It's like a flywheel or like a feedback loop. It feeds back into the more zoom out version. If you read books, if you read from different authors with different perspectives, different life experiences, different stories, they will feed back into how you think about your whole entire life in general. They'll give you perspective, give you different tools so that you can use it. Yeah.
It is first having the basic tools, and from there you can choose to go into specialization. Whether you, because like you're not reading, writing, all those 5 skills, you're not inclined towards all of them. But having those as basics will help you. You want to master the fundamentals. The Val also teaches this. You want to, do the fundamentals and master them over consistent periods of time, long periods of time. You have to do the basics, right? Hitting the gym or anything, you have to just repeat.
There's a few Captain Sinbad's video. For those that know him, the title is just doing, like, success is just doing the same things, same 5 things over and over again. It's about the foundations. Like, you want to achieve success in running a marathon, it's about this kind of training, do it over and over again. This type of diet, do it over and over again. Maybe another type of strength, like speed training, over and over again. It's just like 5 things. It's about the foundation.
Sometimes overcomplicating it, over optimizing. That is why there isn't much. There's a point of diminishing return. Yeah.
You are overdoing that when you haven't gotten the basics done yet.
The basics are the sort of most foundational, important.
It's the Pareto 20%. They give you 80% of the results, the high leverage things. So focus on the foundations. That will give you most of the reward that you are seeking for. And in this case, in this context, why we read books? Because books is high leverage.
This quote or this idea I got is just repeat successful actions. Because if they were successful in the past, that means I learned that they have benefit, they add to my life, not subtract. So what is the harm in just repeating it? So it's like a tool also, arsenal, like learning that reading is good for you. Yeah,
and once you know more, that's the thing. Some people think that reading is just go through one book, another book. But if you really think about it, logically that doesn't make sense. If you have so much knowledge, you're forced, like let's say you read 10 books, even if you don't have the habit of teaching, sharing whatever information that you learn, you will help yourself to enhance that information by just pushing that content or pushing that new piece of information, or just by applying it into your life. Those are the part where you actually internalize the concepts from the book, and that in turn will forces you to teach people or inspire people that, because you read a book on, let's say, morning routines, then you will implement, because books are designed in a way to make you take action. And when you take the action, you implement the morning routine. Now your lifestyle get better. People will observe that, or you can tell people what you did when they ask.
Wisdom is, there's a difference between wisdom and knowledge. So just adding knowledge may not improve your life because you're not applying it. Knowledge and skill, the buckets from Diary of a CEO book.
Yep.
So wisdom is applying that knowledge at the correct time and correct place, I guess. Yeah.
So it just shows that you don't gain wisdom by reading books, but by reading books, you give yourself more opportunities to gain that wisdom.
It is in a sense, a necessary or a means
enabler.
to. Yes.
It enables the whole entire process, but through reading books.
But you want to have some everything is about habits. So you want to have some sort of habit. You don't have to read as a lot of books constantly or read for a lot of hours, but doing.
Yeah.
But you want to have at least the habit.
Okay. So
you can be consistent.
So like when we talk about this, I just think about like the best thing is to learn how to read first. So read a book on how to read. Then develop that skill of reading.
I mean, okay, so you want more incentives to read more. Basically, people think about, okay, what is a book even? Take a step further back. What is a book even? It is what the means of communication, people write in the book. So people have studied, they have all their basically wisdom collected into one book. Their entire lives, or 100 hours of their lives, their energy, their time, energy, attention, condensed into just one physical book.
And they have to strip away all the junk, all the fats. It's lean wisdom.
There are filters to sort of distill down the essence of, I guess, what topics they are trying to cover. So they write about their successes and their mistakes. This quote, one of my favorite quotes, it said that a wise person learns from his mistakes. A wiser one learns from others' mistakes. But the wisest person of all learns from others' successes. So they write about their mistakes, their successes. So you're being, the wiser and wisest version of yourself when you try to read. Because there are many forms of learning. There is learning from your own life experience, which is sort of limited because, lower leverage, not low leverage per se.
Okay. So learning how to learning from reading books. And sometimes, for me personally, I'm more of an auditory learner. So I learned about myself that the best way for me to learn, I'm using a lot of learn, but is to actually listen to audiobooks and take notes. Like take notes down, maybe visualize and listening. I need both for most effective learning, for most leverage. So for you, figure out what's your strategy to learn, and you need to figure out what kind of learner you are, all these.
And what kind of book because there are different types of books.
So what?
Oh, you want to know some? Because I have a few. It's from a Elizabeth Phillips video on like different how she reads 100 books a year, that sort of thing. But
we don't want to scare our audience with so many.
We don't read that much. Even I don't read that much.
So give one book on how.
No. But these are like types of books basically. So there's informative, which is like a specific topic, more educational. You want to really find something specific knowledge.
Like those for dummies book. Maybe very specific, like programming for dummies, basically like web design for dummies, like things like that. Informative.
So going to specific fields, branching in. Then there's expressive, which is more thoughts and opinions of the writer. So less objective. I guess the informative ones will be more factual based. Expressive will be more opinion subjective, maybe. Then last one is storybook, fiction, imagination, all that, memoirs. So stories. And stories you can more binge through, sort of the rest of them informative because you can overload your mind and it takes time to process. So you may, the video she covered how she approaches different books.
Okay.
How much you can read at a time, whether you want to swap the books.
Some books are combined, right?
Yeah, some of them are.
I realize some they have their own opinions, but they also have a lot of information on how they derive to their opinion or like how they build their skills. Then they will have the stories to round things up, to give you the visualization.
More
or
holistic
like,
books.
Yeah, or they tell you stories, or like, let's say psychology of money. I think it covers all three. Yeah, definitely.
But it's all about how it affects your energy. Because you can spend time reading, but if your energy and attention are sort of off in Neverland, then you will not learn anything. You're wasting the time. And if you don't apply it also, then you're also not doing anything with that information.
Okay. So knowing this, I guess like this is the fun part. Like, what is a general self-improvement book that you will recommend to our viewers that is high leverage to them? That is like the 20% of the things they do, they give them 80% of the result. Just general one book for them to read.
I'm not going to recommend just one book. I'm going to recommend like 5 later. But because it is context dependent, I'll give more common, everyone can read, is more foundational books for learning like basic skills. Then after that, I will give a list of more specific books. But first I want to start with how to even choose books and what books are, why even be so like, I guess care so much about what you choose to read.
Okay.
So Hamza, this was a community post from him, but 99% of books are not worth reading. 0.99% of books are worth reading once. And 0.01% of books are worth reading 100 times. So there are a lot of books, like it or not. There are now, how can you quantify? Millions? Probably millions of books that people have written.
And more is being published every single day.
Yeah. And it is over the entire, however long history it was. Yeah. Hormozi has this, I think you get more out of reading one great book 5 times than reading 5 mediocre books one time. So it's once again the idea of leverage. You want to choose the books wisely. Is getting the foundational books, starting with the foundations, really building the foundations.
Starting with the foundations. So how do you choose a book? Is starting with the foundations.
Mm-hmm. So how to choose a book? Yeah, it's just going for the general topics, life skills. As I said earlier, the persuasion, reading, writing. That's why you said earlier about finding books on how to read. Maybe that could be. There's this book. Oh yeah, actually I have not read it finished, but the art of self-learning or something, the science of self-learning. I'm not sure. But yeah, so there are books that teach you how to learn. Yeah, I'm also now realizing I read through halfway, I think. But
so
there are systems to learn.
You choose a book by focusing on the foundations, and foundations is made of the meta skills, the skills with the highest leverage, like reading, writing, persuasion, talking, all this. Learn how to write, learn how to read, learn how to communicate, learn how to persuade.
And you can, okay, if you're just getting into learning, then Naval also says you can just read more junk because you want to get into the habit and make it consistent. So just read whatever you want to enjoy, even all those 3 kinds of books. Just start reading, get into the habit. From there, you can pinpoint your weaknesses, because what you want to do is learn from other people's lessons, not just your own. But through your own weaknesses, you can sort of identify errors. That's how you, I guess, pick books to even read.
Okay. So just now you say you have 5 recommendations.
Yes.
What are those?
The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. The first book I listened through, and I listened to it again recently. Really, all the parts that I forgot or I didn't take note the first time.
You weren't in the frequency, or you don't have the
I wasn't at that level.
experiences. Yeah.
So I was really revisiting and taking new lessons. Good books are ones that, you keep referencing back to them. Like you can identify the concepts and apply it in your own life.
It's like you learn something from it. You go out the real world, make it your skill, and you get new experiences, and the new experiences unlock the next set of instructions or wisdom or knowledge that you can actually internalize into your own system again. Like then you go through the process over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 7 Habits is a book like that. Yes.
Yeah.
So I personally also will recommend for people that if that you just want to start self-improvement and you want this to be sustainable.
A good foundation.
Yeah, it's a good foundation for you to use. It's a good tool. Although it sounds like before I pick up this book, I'm like, it's another habits book.
Yeah, the thing is that habits, everything's about habits in the end, because habits are just actions that we repeat.
It is. But when I first see the cover of this book, I'm like, no, like it's probably just about like writing, reading, like something that is already out there that I already know. So I didn't pick up the book until my father had the book and it's just laying there. And at that point of time, I was just bored of like, I didn't have a goal in the sense that I was just focusing on fitness and stuff. So I want to keep up the habit of reading. So I'm like, let me just pick this up. It's another habits book. I already read all the Power of Habits, Atomic Habits. I read all those. So that why not just another habits book to just round out like, I already read 3 of this. Turns out, it's a
Pandora's box.
it's a discovery of something new.
Yeah, you got to the point where you thought, there's not much else to learn. So your mindset was more fixed, a bit more.
I didn't know that at that point of time I needed to learn about this until it's like a surprise, kind of like it surprised me basically, the value that it has. Yeah. So I also would strongly recommend every one of you to pick this book up. I recommend a physical copy, but if you think that's too expensive or you're still young,
Not gonna lie, there is the audiobook pirated online.
You can just pirate books. I would recommend you get the book, invest in yourself. At the end of the day, especially if you have a Kindle or whatever, buy the actual book. Like you don't want to cheap out on books because those are investment, and you can pass those down. You can lend it to people, share it. You can donate it after you're done. All these it improves your happiness, your spiritual health as well.
It is like investments in books are learning, because these are life skills, or if the topics are oriented around those, and they help you elevate yourself as a person, as an individual, which will help everything. That's why Iman Ghazi's his company, I think, has a free book policy or something, or unlimited books. He has like 1 free book or something. And Luke Bama also, his company has as many books as you want. They will like give.
But guess what? If you're like us, you're in this company, this big organization called Singapore. You have the public library, and I just found out recently that our public library here in Singapore actually offers free subscription to, if you just Google it like Public Library Singapore ebook, you basically get access to unlimited ebooks online for free, and you can have the account, you can download it onto your Kindle, whatever, the apps, your phone, your laptops. You're basically getting free access to books without pirating somehow.
Yes.
Yeah. So this organization called Singapore use the benefits that you have.
I definitely have not pirated any books. Yes. But okay, book recommendations, even more. Principles, Life and Work by Ray Dalio. He's really one of the... Yeah, if you want to learn from your mistakes, everything, foundational, I think Principles is good.
Right.
There are like a few practical mindsets to also adopt. Basically, principles are just frameworks also that you can add on to sort of make life easier. Because if you have to think about every single thing, that's why the utility of rules is that you set a rule or principle and you just stick to it. Your principle is the default easiher.
Okay.
You have to
so
make
the first book is on character.
Habits,
character. Second book is on principles.
Yeah.
What's the next book?
Mm-hmm. Then I have... This one is a more personal favorite. If you like quotes, really, Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish. His thinking really is quite very well articulated. He's one of the better thinkers, I think. Yes. So then the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, it is the collection of all his teachings. It's a guide to wealth and happiness. Yeah. But the mindsets for if you want to go into more business are pretty good. Or if you want to find happiness, that's also.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, they praise Neville for having the courage to live the life that he wants. He have achieved the success or whatever, so he has that aspect. So he got a lot of wisdom through his whole entire life journey. So the almanac is just written in the sense that
it's all his like tweets and everything.
Yeah, all the wisdom that he condensed down, just flash out for you. They will link for you, but it still requires you to link it to your own life, to internalize it.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good book too.
I've been applying it. A lot of the concepts, you hear me talking about his concepts that not he came up with, but yeah, he thought through and fleshed out.
It's what worked for him, and he's a objectively successful person. So you can use that as a guide.
The wisdom
to start. Yeah. That's why it's 5 foundation books.
Then
so what is the final recommendation that our viewers are?
I mean, 12 rules for life. Life, literally life. Yeah. So I don't know what, after the title, it is also part of the title, but yeah, an antidote to chaos. So if you feel your life is very chaotic, you're lost, or your life is all over the place, you have no structure, that is the void of chaos, yes.
Okay. 12 Rules of Life by Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
Jordan P. Peterson, yes.
All right. I mean, he's a polarizing guy. And I heard recently of people that find he got categorized together with Andrew Tate. Polarizing. But I think in a general sense, if you look at his life, it's quite together. He has his own challenges that he tried to solve. He got his wins, his losses. But what we cannot deny is that he spent a lot of time thinking and writing in a way that it will actually help people. So yeah, it's a harder book to read. I think
his language levels are harder, but I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Like one thing I learned about increasing your, let's say, English proficiency or how well you articulate is by having a percentage of your reading or your writing or like the articles you read, basically the materials that you consume, to be on a slightly higher grade than your current one. So if you really first start, you cannot read well, or your English is not at that level yet, of course, you can put it in your reading list in your future.
Yeah,
just bookmark it, save it down.
You want to progressively overload even reading.
Yes.
That's why I had the metaphor with the gym earlier, so being consistent.
Yeah. So if you go through this entire podcast to this point, first, you want to
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening, for trusting us with your time. Second is your attention span, commendable. Actually, respect. But next is that if you think that all of this is too much, we will just recommend all of these 5 books. I'll recommend just start with 7 Habits. It's written in a very clear way, and just spend a bit of time trying to understand what the author is trying to say, and that will help you tremendously. Then from there, you can progressively overload.
The foundational frameworks that he has, this entire sort of podcast system that we have right now is very sort of oriented towards it, using it as a guideline, a ruler by which to,
Definitely. Especially the first few habits that they have. Yeah.
Because the first 3 are for independence, how to go from dependent. It's the maturity continuum.
Spoiler alert. Alright, so what is the action step do you have for our audience before?
So in the beginning, if you don't have the habit, just start with something simple. Start with what you enjoy reading, whether it's even a comic or something. Get into the habit. If you already have the habit of reading, then it is more... you want to identify the constraints, specific points of weaknesses you have when trying to attain your goal. So read in accordance with that, basically. You want to target your constraints, read intentionally. Choose books. If there's this Dan Cole quote that is, if you don't feel the urge to highlight every line of the book you're reading, it wasn't written for you at the phase of life that you're in. So maybe, you know, if you don't like get the sunk cost fallacy or bias where you already invest time into a book and you feel the need to read it cover to cover and finish it. Don't. If the book is not speaking to you, not resonating, if it's causing, I guess, friction, which is like impacting your ability to even continue reading, then you can stop a book, change a book. Yeah.
And I'm gonna end this whole thing by telling you a story. So like what you said, start with something simple. What I did was, back when I started, I tried to pick up a book and I couldn't because I was overstimulated. So what I did was I indulged myself. I love watching content, love consuming. So I just changed all my content consumption into self-improvement videos because I want to learn about what I can learn about the fundamentals. I guess most people have already surpassed that step, but what I did was I watched a lot of Hamza's videos, and he basically synthesized information from different books, and he recommended Millionaire Fastlane. And I just decided to give it another try, like you said, like to just to pick up the habit of reading again. So after I pick up the book and I start reading on my Kindle every day after my work, I realized that every single page calls out to me. At that point of time, I was in need of a paradigm shift. Like my mindset or my perspective, how basically my standards, like what is possible out there. Like there's no way I can imagine a reality that is that of a more successful person before I read that book. So that book helped me to increase my baseline, to paradigm shift basically. And like you said, that book called out to me, and because to get to there, I first started with the low-hanging fruits, which is to consume content that is just slightly better. So start with the simple ones. Content is also a form of, I guess, like learning.
Because we synthesize what we learn from the books to you, the audience. So you get the main key points. And it is faster in a sense.
Yeah. I guess like if you really look at this whole thing, the pattern here is that that's what I received and that's what we are doing. We are making this content to teach you about what to learn, how to learn, why you should learn. Then you go and figure out, and maybe you feel that it's right for you to pick up one of the 5 books that Josiah recommended. Then maybe that will change your life. Maybe that will increase your paradigm by so much that you're just so much closer to the
version of yourself
that you visualize at your funeral.
Yes. We give you our sources in a sense so that we are fully radically transparent. You see all these concepts and quotes that we keep referencing also. The books we reference, we give you the source so that you can, if you want to do further reading, it is up to you. And if any book sort of jumps out at you, go for it. You will not regret it.
Yeah. So see you guys in the next week's episode.